Hello! I want to add some new context to a video that I took 2 years ago. And then after a lot more activities happened since I moved here 3 years ago, I listened to that video again that I made at the time contemporaneously. Well, I was chatting with my buddy, my hunting buddy, and I have a new theory about what happened. Just for quick context, I've been a meat hunter my whole life. Fed my, harvested a deer, every year in a lot of cases, sometimes a year or two skipped, but I'm 58, 59 here pretty quick, and I've harvested and processed a lot of deer and done a lot of hunting all over the West, from about every state in the West, including Alaska. So I understand what a black-tailed deer does if it's hit with a 30-06, which I was using. It was a early 1930s Model 54, which is the predecessor to the Winchester Model 70, and it's just about as accurate as any 30-06 off the shelf today. So I was sitting where I know this particular buck was crossing. I had passed a lot of bucks this season, kind of hoping for Mr. Big Boy to come out. Now that I don't have kids to feed, I can meat last a lot longer. And a line of deer appeared behind me. They were about 40 yards to my right, behind my right shoulder. And it was, getting towards the end of shooting hours, so it was dusk. I mean, definitely well within legal shooting hours. And so I decided, all right, getting late enough in the season, that's a decent enough buck. Time to fill the freezer. And so I put the scope on him, and I mean, he was literally only like 30 yards away. If I had to exaggerate on the long end, I'd say 40 yards away. That's a nothing burger. I could do that with my bow and have. And he went up the hill into this little patch of timber, and then the other deer that were with him ran back the way they came, which is the normal behavior. Is when they're spooked, they run back from where they came because they already know that's kind of safe. And so when they're hit, they kind of bolt in a different direction. And hey, I figure he went about 50 yards, maybe, which will be average, typical for being hit with a 30-06. And so I figured, all right, good. I got my work cut out for me, but I got my winter meat harvested. And then not long after, and I don't recall if I'd even gotten up to go look for it yet, right where I figured he was in this timber patch, and by now the light is really diminished, all of a sudden there's this just loud crashing noise. Like not one, like over and over again, like something crashing through the woods. And I've heard bears crashing through the woods. I've spooked them. They run off. They just go in a straight line, where a deer's going to go around branches and stuff. A bear just goes straight. But this thing was way more amplified than a black bear. And black bears in my trash all the time and stuff. So I know how bears behave. And then I revisited the video last night, chatting with my buddy, and you can just hear the adrenaline in my voice, which is totally atypical of me after I shoot a deer. It's just an average black-tail meat buck, no trophy. My buddies would laugh at me if I said, oh, I got a big one. And I looked around with a flashlight for way a long time, because that is my responsibility as a hunter to do all I can to locate it. and there was nothing there, and I was perplexed. I mean, that thing went up there. I went in the timber patch. Well, he fell over, and by the way, they usually faint because they lose blood and they pass out. So it's actually a fairly humane way to go. If I have to go out, that'd be a preferred method. If there weren't any other options. I'm in the thick brush here, my Oregon property, Southern Oregon, Siskiyou Mountains. So I came up with a new theory after I was listening, and kind of really surprised at the stress and adrenaline and anxiety in my voice and the mysterious disappearance of this deer. It went the opposite direction of all the other deer. That's not normal. I mean, I'm sure it happens from time to time. And it went up just like it got hit. It went for the nearest cover. And that's what they do. They bolt towards the nearest cover. They lay down. They pass out. That's how it happens. 90% of the time, whatever. Don't quote me. But the crashing noise I heard was in no way a deer. No way a bear. And I never found the deer. And I get on my hands and knees. I've tracked prints, when there's no blood forever. I actually almost had an emergency years ago tracking a wild pig because I went so far and I was stuck and on a minor heat stroke. Anyway, so now my theory is the only thing that really most logically explains what happened is that I shot that buck and he went and laid down right there in the timber patch like I thought it would, 40, 50, 60 yards away. Yeah, maybe 100, who knows, I didn't measure it. And what makes more logical sense is Bigfoot was up there watching because my buddy and I experienced some Bigfoot type activity hunting last year in that same area, and it basically scared all the deer away. There's another video on it. You can listen to my friend's account, and you can listen to my account. 2025. This would be late 2025 if you want to look at the dates. I'll post a link below. So I think my working theory now is I shot that buck. Scoped 40 yards away max, broadside, barely walking, or maybe, he was standing still because they noticed me when I swung my rifle around. They stopped. So he's broadside in archery range. And there's no way, even if he flopped around or stumbled, he could make the decibel levels and the continuation, the length of that massive crashing. So I was really perplexed after I've killed, I literally have no idea how many deer I've harvested because I'm a meat hunter, a renewable resource. And the only thing that kind of really makes sense now after all these experiences I've had since moving here, is a Bigfoot, Sasquatch came down, crashed through there, grabbed my deer and took off. That's my working theory now. I'll post a link below, and I can tell you that the adrenaline and confusion you hear in my voice is completely atypical of my reaction when I get a deer, either with archery or a rifle. So anyway, that was my epiphany moment last night, chatting with my hunting buddy. He came out here and it seems like perhaps a Bigfoot ruined our hunt. Anyway, who knows? I'm just this page is not for advocacy. I'm not trying to be a YouTube star. 150 subscribers. Woo! I'm just use it as an inventory to post evidence of what I find or see or experience, or very close friends that I know personally, like family, immediate close friends that I trust. Not campfire stories, not, well, my friend at the bar said this, or my friend of a friend. You know, I'm an engineer, so I just try and log data as objectively as you can, and that way you can go back later and analyze the data. You can look for patterns, pattern recognition. I'm in no way saying that anything or everything that I post has to be a Bigfoot. Some of it's, nothing burger probably, or a bear or something like that. But I just post it. It's just evidence. It's out there for folks to analyze, and then if I want to share it with somebody I'm chatting with, I can send them a link rather than trying to dig through and find some video buried on some old phone somewhere. So anyway, I think that's the theory that makes sense. I think I shot that deer. Damn near know I did. And I think that crashing noise was likely, or most logically, we'll put it that way, most logically, a Sasquatch came crashing through there and grabbed the thing and took off. That's my logical working theory at this point. So stay tuned. Who knows?